Thank you for watching Pam Entertainment TV, where we review movies, television shows, and cover celebrity news. Today, we're going to review Dragon's Dogma. It's a little sci-fi thing that I found on Netflix that I wanted to review. It made its initial debut on Netflix back in September of 2020. So I wanted to kind of go over, review it, watch the first episode, and see what we're going on. So today, we're about to do the review for Dragon's Dogma. Here's the review for Dragon's Dogma, Season 1, Episode 1, entitled Wrath. As we open up the show, we see a character on who is walking through what seems to be destruction. As he's walking through what seems to be destruction, he comes upon a dragon. The dragon looks like he's about to pounce on the young man that we see, and then suddenly the young man wakes up. He believes that it's all a dream. He gets up. We find out that this is our main character, and his name is Ethan. Ethan goes into the next room, and he sees his wife, who is Olivia. Olivia is fixing a meal. Ethan is being seductive and kissy-feely with his wife. And a young man walks in, all excited and exuberant, and we find out that his name is Lewis. And Lewis is a neighbor who Olivia and Ethan have taken in because his parents has died. The three characters, Olivia, Ethan, and Lewis, sit down to eat, and we find out a little bit about each one of the characters. We find out that Olivia is pregnant, and she is about to give birth. We also find out that Ethan's parents have died as well. After Ethan, Lewis, and Olivia eat, Lewis thanks Olivia for taking him in. He thanks her because his parents have died, and they have treated him like family. We also learned at that time that Ethan's family has died. In between the conversation between Lewis and Olivia, Ethan comes in from the other room and tells Lewis it's time for them to go out into the mountains to do some hunting. Lewis and Ethan go out, and as Lewis and Ethan are out walking, the scene pans over to some fishermen. And the fisherman takes notice of Ethan, and another fisherman asks, well, who is that? And the fisherman said, hey, that's Ethan. He looks like he's going back up into the mountains again to go hunting. The fisherman started laughing, saying, now, why would you need to do that? Because the sea is so plentiful. And the soldier that made, who saw Ethan said, well, it's about his parents. So I'm making the assumption that Ethan's parents were killed at sea, or maybe someone was a fisherman and they were killed at sea. They never did just come out and say what it was, but they just kind of made mention of it. As Ethan and Lewis are walking into the mountains to go hunting, they come across two soldiers who are very apparent that they are drunk. Honey, they are just almost three shades to the wind. They are drunk. Lewis makes mention of how at one time he admired the soldiers, but now to see them in their drunken state, they seem to be pathetic. One of the soldiers seems like he heard Lewis. He asked Lewis what he said, and Lewis was kind of, backpedaling and pussy popping and talking about, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're saying. So just to sum all that up, the soldiers get upset, and they get ready to try to hit Lewis. Ethan intervenes. They're telling Ethan, hey, we got to teach you a lesson because you're not teaching the boy a lesson. They're about to scuffle. Then the captain of the soldiers come out. He orders his soldier back to their post. He apologizes to Ethan and Lewis. Then Ethan and Lewis inquire, hey, why are y'all here? Why did the Duke send you all over here? The captain says, hey, well, that's because we're supposed to be on Dragon Watch. And Lewis says, well, it's my understanding that, the captain says, well, we're on Dragon Watch, and there has not been a dragon been sighted in over 100 years. So for Lewis and Ethan and this captain, seeing a dragon or anything like that just seems like it's way off. It's fantastical because no one has seen this dragon or any dragon in over 100 years. Ethan and Lewis go off into the woods. Lewis kills a deer on one shot. He's getting ready to go get his kill. All of a sudden, Ethan tells him to stop. And as he tells him that, we look over Lewis's shoulder, and you just see the deer just slowly being dragged. Lewis turns around, and he says, "Oh my gosh, the wolf is about to take my kill, excuse me." Ethan tells Lewis to stop, but Lewis doesn't hear him, and at the time he takes a bow and arrow and he shoots at the wolf. And then you find out that it's a wolf pack. It's not one wolf, it's a whole wolf pack. The wolf jumps up to try to eat or kill Lewis, and Ethan intervenes, killing that wolf. But now they're surrounded by a pack of wolves. As they're surrounded by this pack of wolves, Ethan is in front of Lewis, and he tells Lewis to run back to the village and tell them that there are wolves here. This is the time to note that wolves have not been spotted this close to the village in a very long time. So Ethan and Lewis kind of suspect something's wrong. They just don't know what is wrong. So Lewis runs back. He runs back into this back to the fort where the soldiers are. And he explains to them, "Hey, you need to help my friend. My friend is being attacked by wolves." The soldiers mount up, put on their gear and everything like that. And Lewis is like, "Why are y'all helping me?" He says, "Because we were charged as soldiers to protect the citizens from all enemies. And if there's a wolf pack near here, that's odd. We need to protect the citizens." So as the soldiers are getting their gear and everything on and getting their orders around the table, Lewis notices that the sky goes black. And he asks the soldiers, "Hey, why is the sky black? What's going on? Why is it so dark?" The captain turns around and he is just astonished. He's like, "It cannot be." And then it pans off back to Ethan. Those wolves have creeped Ethan back to the edge of the mountain. And it looks like they're about to, because I don't know if he's about to think about, do I jump? Or what do I do? All of a sudden the sky goes dark. And as the sky goes dark, one of the wolves just looks up into the sky. He howls into the sky. And that wolf and the rest of the wolf pack, man, they just buck right back into the woods. And Ethan is like, "What the hell is going on?" He's looking like, "What the hell is going on?" He turns around and he looks up into the sky, and oh my gosh, there is this big, huge dragon. I mean, big old claws, big red dragon with bright, fiery red eyes, with big old claws and like a wingspan, longer than a football field, just flies down. And it looks like it's about to fly down and get to Ethan, but what it does is just swerves to the right and goes past Ethan into the village. Ethan just bucks out running. He just starts running. He's running and running and running and running, trying to get to the village. The dragon comes down, swerves down on the village, and the first thing that he hits and he knocks out is the fisherman. He knocks out the fisherman. He knocks out the fisherman's wharf. Then he swerves and he goes to the village. He's blowing fire and just screaming and just utter destruction. Then he peeps down into the middle of the village, drops down. I was about to say drops down and get his eagle on, but that's not what he did. He dropped down and he started using his tail to sideswipe all these villagers. It's just mayhem. Villagers are running everywhere, doing everywhere. Well, all of this is happening. The soldiers are just trudging along, walking. They're seeing the villagers watch, but they're not looking to see what in the world is causing the villagers to be running. Then they run up upon the dragon. Them soldiers said that they were prepared, and I was making the assumption that they was gonna come out with some nice heavy artillery or something like that, because they've been up there at that fort, been guarding the citizenry of this town for over 100 years. They come across the dragon, and the only thing that they have to fight this dragon is bows and arrows. Really? Really? Bows and arrows. That's all you got. I'm thinking you at least got cannons and sticks or anything like that. No, you walk up into the village. You know that there's a dragon coming. You see the dragon. But all you have are bows and arrows. All right. All right. One of the soldiers is so freaked out. Because again, no one has seen a dragon for over 100 years. He's so freaked out. He tries to run. He's telling people to run. And then the captain comes back, no. We're soldiers. If we're going to die, we're going to die a glorious death fighting this dragon. And then again, all they have is bows and arrows. And they fire these bows and arrows at this dragon. And the only thing those bows and arrows do with this dragon is just like pop off his body. Like, you know, like somebody was throwing like a, you know, somebody throw a pebble at your back. You feel it, you know, it don't hurt you, but it does make you notice. So the dragon turns around and looks at him like this. About 4 or 5 of those soldiers run away. The other ones stand there in astonishment because I guess because they've never seen a dragon. He just blows the fire and bye-bye soldiers. After that poor display of military might, we see Lewis, who has run back to find Olivia. She seems to have been knocked out with all the fire and everything like that. He runs back and he's like, he gets Olivia and she's like, no, you need to go. You need to leave the town. Me being pregnant is going to slow you up. And Lewis reminds her, hey, I am here. You all are my family. I'm going to take care of my family. So I'm coming to get you and we are going to leave here. So he convinces her not to get up and let's get out. So they get up and they get out. Then we pan to the scene that Ethan finally makes it to the village. He runs into those, remember those 4 or 5 soldiers that I said that had fled before the dragon blew fire on them? He runs into those soldiers. He asks them about what happened and where's his family. They begin to explain to Ethan that, hey, your family is gone and we're the only people that are left. Ethan does not believe that, but at that moment, the dragon drops, looks like the dragon drops something on a roof, and then it hits 2 of the soldiers, knocking them out. And then there's fire that happens. So you get the assumption that, hey, that's it for the rest of those soldiers, and Ethan is gone. We then pan back to Lewis and Olivia. They're up under some kind of canopy. And they're just kind of waiting everything out. You see the dragon kind of fly away or to the right. Because the dragon is always flying to the right. He always cuts to the right. But that's neither here nor there. You see him fly to the right. And they're sitting there and they're waiting. And they wait a good amount of time. And they say, I think the dragon is gone. We're going to get ready to leave. As they make that decision, you start to see the canopy starts to drop. And they just thought that they were goners at this point. The canopy drops, and then lo and behold, bam, here comes Ethan. Ethan holds the canopy, throws it over, and then, you know, he is very happy to see his family and his wife, and they hug, and, you know, he asked about the baby, and he's thankful to Lewis for keeping Olivia safe, and they're sitting there, and everybody is cool. They're happy to see each other. They're getting ready to go. So Lewis says, hey, let me go look out to see if the coast is clear. So Lewis goes out past beyond the doors of where they were sitting. He's standing there. He's looking. He says, the coast is clear. I don't see anything. We're going to get ready to leave. Baby, that dragon done come down and ate Lewis. Baby, when I tell you I screamed because Lewis was screaming, that dragon was literally chewing that baby. That was a baby. He ain't looked to be about 12. And that dragon just chewed him like he was a gummy worm. You hear me? A gummy worm. I screamed. At that point, Ethan and Olivia was just horrified. Eyes big as my eyes are now. They just horrified. So Ethan picks up a sword, because then again, there go that dragon. He flies up, cuts right. comes down, and Ethan just, he comes down. And Ethan is just so just shocked and angry and mad. He picks up a sword and he goes towards the dragon, because he, again, I'm trying to figure out what these swords and these bows and arrows are going to do for this dragon. He runs towards that dragon and he gets him enough that he stabs him in the foot or in the arm or something. He stabs him. That dragon then proceeds to swat Ethan into a building like he's a little fly. Olivia sees this and she gasps. Lord have mercy, why would she gasp? Because that dragon turned around and looked at her. Ethan is over there, you know, hurt and shocked. He's like, Olivia, shh, no. That dragon turned around and looked at Olivia and blew that fire on that woman, and she is just cooked and dead. Cooked and dead. You hear me? So now you have Ethan over there just screaming in astonishment. Then old dragon starts to taunt Ethan. You mad? Are you big mad? Are you so mad that you hate me? Good. You gonna hate me. And then proceeds to, it just looks like he just snatches Ethan's heart and he eats it. But and then Ethan is just like passed out and dreaming, and then he dreams that he sees Olivia. And Olivia tells him, and I had to write this down. Hold on, y'all. Here we go. He sees Olivia, and then she gives him these two charges. She tells him, you know, she's sorry. She apologizes for not living long enough to be there for him and give him children, and that her and Lewis and the baby are dead, and that he's alone. But she tells Ethan not to be consumed by rage and live honorably and just. And then she floats away into the ether. Ethan awakens, and he's like, oh, it was a dream. And then he reaches for his chest. And as he reaches for his chest, you see this mark. So apparently, we didn't get to see. We saw the blood, but we didn't see that the dragon basically just kind of just scarred him in his heart, just scarred him. And as Ethan awakens, he walks outside of the village, and he sees that it's just totally destroyed. And he's just looking around, and he's just bewildered, sad, grief stricken, and everything. Then this woman appears. Blonde-haired woman walks up to him, and she says, oh, I see you've come back to the land of the living. And I'm looking at her like, well, okay. And then she, let me see where I'm at. She calls Ethan. She says, oh, I see you've come back to the land of the living, arisen. And she keeps calling him arisen. And then he looks at her, and he's like, who are you? And she says, I'm a pawn. And I'm here to protect you. And she lifts up in her hand, and she has a mark similar to Ethan in her hand. So, and then the show went off. So, that's basically it. That's season 1, episode 1, Wrath of Dragon's Dogma. I'll join you all again for the second episode. Thank you so much for watching my review. If you liked my review, please like and subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. See you in the next review.